Hello, everyone. It is I am back here. And I figured it would take a slightly different approach. It's been a bit since I've been active, but I just wanted to cover some of the kanji from the earlier levels, just for the sake of completeness. Have a little something to show for where I was before, around level 5. So let's not delay. Starting up level 1. We've got above, pronounced Jo. I'm trying to kind of replicate the high sig method here. So I really want to focus more so on the meaning than the pronunciation. But we're still going to have like radicals and monomics around here. So this is made up from toe and ground. You find a toe on the ground. It's weird because it's above the ground, not where toes belong. All right. Jo. Then below, ka, also from ground and toe, but different orientation. Um, so where's the toe now? It's below ground. Imagine yourself digging it out and think, why does it have to be below ground like this? So irritating. Will I be able to sew it back on in time to save it? You keep digging for the toe below, and instead of hitting a toe, you hit something hard and metallic. You keep digging around it, but it's huge. Turns out you found yourself a car, ka. Keep digging until you unearth the car. Inside, you find the toe you were looking for. Okay. Big, die. The big radical and the big kanji are exactly the same. So, made up of a radical that looks like itself. Um, so we've got tai and dai as potential pronunciations. There's this big guy. That's how you remember the radical, remember? And he's wearing a huge tie-dye shirt. Because he's so huge, the tie-dye shirt is also super huge. Everything about him is pretty big, but the tie-dye stands out more than anything. Very interesting. All right, construction. Ko. The construction radical and the construction kanji are the same. Every time you use the ko reading, there's a lot. It's a common sound. Here's one of the people we'll use the character Koichi. He's one of the people that started this website. So we'll do our best in the monomics to embarrass him as much as possible. Like this. You see some construction in front of you. There, standing shirtlessly, only suspenders and a hard hat, is Koichi looking back at you. Ko. And then we have Hachi for 8. It's made up from the fins radical. It's not exactly the same though, but it's pretty close. Sometimes this will happen where we have to use slightly modified radicals. So it's good to understand that now, early on, in this case, we have fins. How many fins? 8. That's why we got an octopus here. How do you know that? Because you caught 4 fish with 2 fins each. Not the imagery we're relying on. After you count and smell all 8 of your fins, it's time to put them away. You open a large hatch and put them in. This is why we got like this car hatch. This is where you keep your fins, always putting in 8 at a time because that's what the boss wants. We got them hatching from an egg as well to lean into that Hachi pronunciation. Enter. New. The kanji and radical are the same. Turns out after you enter the teepee, you remember that the radical is a teepee with a big entrance. Imagine you're on a game show and you win a new teepee. Now you have 2 teepees. Imagine lights turning on and flashing and the entire audience inside. You're at a game show and the announcer announces the new teepee in his announcery voice. Feel the surprise, feel the happiness, feel the excitement. A beautiful new teepee all for you. Very good. Then we've got san for mountain. The mountain radical and mountain kanji are the same here as well. Pronounced san for the onyomi reading. Kunyomi, we have yama. Think about mountains talking to each other, calling each other by their names, and adding the Japanese name ender san to each of their names. Hello, Everest-san. Oh, hi, Fuji-san. Look at how they're blushing. Kawaii desu ne. Mouth, ku or ko. Mouth and the radical and the mouth kanji are the same. If you kind of round out the shapes here, you can kind of visualize the mouth a little easier. Do you remember seeing the construction worker Koichi earlier in the construction monomic? If you haven't yet, not to worry. For kanji with ko readings, there's a lot. We'll use the character Koichi. Everyone agrees Koichi's mouth is his best feature. You stare at it lovingly as he whispers sweet kanji readings to you. How romantic. Look at that excellent mouth he has. Very good. Nothing weird. 9. Q. I get this confused with the one for power, Riki. So this one's got a little curve at the end of like the N, if you will. And I think of like a nine-tailed fox, a QB. So think of that as like a little foxy tail. But that's different than the mnemonic we're given here. Um, so try not to get those twisted. But although the kanji has two onyomi readings, Q or Q, the pronunciations of those two onyomi are very similar. So that should make things easier to remember. When you were 9, your favorite foods were cookies and cucumbers. Yum yum. That's me being 9, I guess. All right. Ichi 1. Made up from the radical for ground. Lying on the ground, there's something that looks just like the ground. The number 1. Why is the 1 lying down? It's been shot by the number 2. It's lying there, bleeding out, dying. The number 1 doesn't have long to live. As you're sitting there next to 1, holding him up, you start feeling a weird sensation all over your skin. From the wound comes a fine powder, obviously from the special bullet used to kill 1. That caused the person it touches to get extremely itchy. He's got this itchy sweater on him to kind of hone in on that itchy pronunciation. Number 1. Person, nin. Remember that the radical version of this kanji meant person because it's a person walking from the side with their arms down. So this is going to be a person as well. This can also be jin with onyomi, and kunyomi has hito and to as well. Only one person at Nintendo, Nin, complained about the new jeans policy, and that person was you. Look at these gentlemen over here at the office in their new jeans. Nin or Jin. Ryoku. Also, Riki as well. The radical and meaning are the same here. Both are power. Who has the most power of anyone? It's the Power Rangers, bro. They are battling their arch enemy, Ricky the Rat. They defeat him and lock him, Ryoku, him up. So they can't defeat anyone ever again. Look at this big rat. I like this render quite a bit, I gotta say. Happy with this one. Riki, or Ryoku, excuse me, in this case. Ryoku. Also, quick note. The little curly tail part is going inward on this one, where 9 goes outward. River, Kawa. The river radical, and the river kanji are the same as each other. You're standing next to a river that's actually a car wash, Kawa. So there's also gawa here as well for the kunyomi. Imagine standing by a river, watching all of those cars floating by. They start off really dirty, but the river washes them all clean. Think about some kawaii schoolgirls helping to wash that car too. Kind of hone in on that pronunciation. It's got a little bend there alongside the 3. Think of that as like the river bank and the water flowing through it. Help with that imagery a bit. 7, Shichi. Lucky for you, as is the case with many of the lower stroke kanji, this kanji is the same as the radical you've learned. The radical that makes up this kanji is 7, and the kanji, which is exactly the same, is also 7. So if you know the radical, you know the kanji as well. Pronunciation is shichi here. Kunyomi also has nana and nano. You know this kanji means 7, so let's use that to remember the reading too. 7 is a lucky number, usually, but this time it wasn't so good. 7% is all she got on her test after she cheated on it. She cheat. And don't look at that 9 in the upper right corner of the render. Ju, 10. The cross is a symbol for the number 10. A good way to remember this is think about all the religions that have crosses and also the important sets of 10. This cross in particular has 10 jewels, Jew, on them. 2 on each arm, 2 in the middle. That's 10 Jews. Think of a Jewish rabbi holding up a cross. Don't think too hard about why the rabbi has a Christian cross, but just remember this Jewish rabbi with 10 rubies on that cross. San, 3. Made up from ground and 2. You just put them together, get 3. Pretty self-explanatory to look at here. But 3 is the number of chances you get with Santa-san. He has a list, and when you get to 3 naughty things, and those line up, you're on Santa's 3 strikes and you're out list. San. Ni for 2. Kanji and radical are the same. How do you count to 2? Just use someone's knee, and then their other knee. That's 2 knees. Imagine her being like, Oni-chan, you know what I'm saying? We got the knee represented. And then I think this is the last one for level 1 is Jo for woman. Radical for woman and the kanji are exactly the same here. When you think of a woman, think of Joanne, though she usually just goes by Jo. In this case, she's also at Joanne's Fabrics, hit store. Whenever the reading Jo comes up, we'll use the character of Joanne, excuse me. She's quite a short woman, which helps us to differentiate Jo from the giant Joe, who is a giant oafish farmhand. Jo is a smaller lady, and Joel is a giant man. Don't worry about any of that right now. Just think about Jo and woman. Same Jo that we see in like shoujo for like women's manga. But that'll do it for this one. Thank you so much for listening, and you have a wonderful day.